Welcome to a Thursday edition of The Sports Guys. Today is Thursday, November 14. I'm Mason Little.
And I'm Sean Higgins.
And welcome to the show. We're going to start right off with some NHL action. Big news yesterday out of Buffalo. The Buffalo Sabres fired GM Darcy Regier and head coach Ron Rolston. A big shakeup for the 4-15-1 Buffalo Sabres, far and away the worst record in the league. Rolston replaced Lindy Ruff last season, who was the coach from 1997 to 2013, the longest tenured coach in the league at the time of his firing. Ruff is now in Dallas, and before Ruff was Ted Nolan, who is now named the interim head coach of the Buffalo Sabres moving forward. Nolan was with the Islanders in 2006-2007, bringing them from their bottom in the Atlantic Division to first playoff appearance in a long while. He was with the Sabres from 95 to 97, won the Jack Adams Award in 97. He looks to be a good fit in Buffalo. The GM position has not been filled yet, but they have announced a newly created president of hockey operations, which they've given to another familiar face in Pat LaFontaine. The star center played for the Sabres from 1991 to 1997, and in his 15-year NHL career racked up over 1,000 points, nominated to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2003. What remains to be speculated is what he'll do with aging goaltending star Ryan Miller. They already traded star winger Thomas Vanek to the New York Islanders, so a fire sale is going on in Buffalo. If and when Miller gets traded remains to be seen.
All right, and I think this is a good time to go into our 3 up, 3 down, starting with downs this
Let's start with downs this week, because I'm tired of making the joke about how it's a pessimistic show. We're going to stick with hockey, too, to smooth out that transition. Nazem Kadri of the Toronto Maple Leafs suspended today 3 games for his hit on Wild goaltender Nicholas Backstrom during last night's Minnesota 2-1 shootout win on Wednesday. His hit got him 2 minutes in the box for goalie interference. It briefly knocked out Nick Backstrom, who's been suffering injuries all season and all last year. Backstrom got up and continued to play, but after one shift, he was replaced by backup Josh Harding, who's playing lights out this season. Josh Harding got the win, but Kadri wasn't done running guys yet. There was a high hit on Michael Granlund in the third period that gave him a match penalty. Today, in a talk with Vice President Brendan Shanahan, he said the Granlund hit was not factored into his 3-game suspension, but it will not receive further discipline. Kadri's got to learn his lesson from this. You don't want to see Kadri. And the Leafs already have center issues. Tyler Bozak was hurt. He's on LTIR, scheduled to return on the 19th. Dave Bolin tore his Achilles tendon, not returning until March. So the Leafs are in big, big trouble with this Kadri suspension.
Yeah, Leafs physical team, though.
They are a physical team. But they're having to start like 18 wingers now. So you can't win draws when all your centers are injured or suspended.
Yeah.
You want to go to one of your downs?
Yeah, all right. My first down of the week is Joey Crawford. He may be the most infamous referee in the game for the NBA. Last night, or 2 nights ago, he was reffing the 76ers-Milwaukee Bucks game when there was an awkward exchange between him and a ball boy who was mopping up sweat after a collision. Crawford yelled at him and then was staring daggers at him for the rest of the game. And this is a boy under the age of 18, under the age of 15 by the looks of him, who was getting harassed by a grown man, an NBA official. I just can't stand stuff like this. Joey Crawford, he loves taking control of the game. He loves making the game his own. Like I said, most infamous NBA ref out there.
Absolutely. It always seems as though when he's the head ref, it's his game and everyone else is just playing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you remember he had the infamous ejection of Tim Duncan a couple years ago for laughing on the bench after a technical. Crawford's not a very professional NBA ref.
No, not at all.
The Major League Baseball is withdrawing its proposal for a new bidding system, with Japan making it uncertain whether prize pitcher Masahiro Tanaka will be on the market this winter. Major League Baseball Chief Operations Officer Rob Manfred said Japanese officials had not acted quickly enough on the proposal. Now, the current posting system has teams submitting blind bids, and the highest bidder gets 30 days to sign the player. You might remember Daisuke Matsuzaka for the Boston Red Sox in 2007, and the more successful Yu Darvish for the Texas Rangers 2 years ago. The concern with the system was that it was a blind bidding process that led to some teams making inflated numbers that made the market unavailable to low-profile teams like the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Pittsburgh Pirates, low-payroll teams. If that's the issue, I don't know why Sealy and Company haven't imposed a salary cap. They are the last professional league in the United States to not have a salary cap. So to turn around and blame Japan for this inflation is a down for me.
Yeah, you got to think something else has to be going on here. A league with no salary cap, where the lower teams are left to, or the cheaper teams, or however you want to say, left to fend for themselves, with the Yankees and Boston, and all the higher markets can go out and spend as much money to get the top talent.
And it's not as though there's a direct correlation between spending and winning. I mean, you see teams like the Oakland Athletics and the Detroit
Absolutely.
Tigers, middle spenders. The Athletics themselves, really low spenders.
Absolutely,
The Rays all
yeah.
made the playoffs. Yankees didn't. But the fact of the matter is, when you have no salary cap, you can't blame Japan for having an inflated system with the new bidding system.
Absolutely. The NCAA has invoked new rules for hand checking in basketball. This has caused a slew of fouls to be called, especially evident in the championship classic from the other night. A couple of Duke players fouled out. It's making it virtually impossible to guard players who are driving to the hoop. If you place a hand on them, there's no more warnings, no more any of that. It's just a quick foul, and it's just making the game way harder to control. Well, it's making the game easier to control, harder to watch because it's furious. It makes you furious to watch your favorite players get fouled out of the game, and it's putting more power in the hands of the referees, which isn't how the game should be played. They should be there to make sure the rules are followed, and that's all.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
And these college basketball broadcasts are about 2 hours, one of the shortest in sports.
Yeah.
And the Duke-Kansas game ran long. The midnight Sports Center was pushed back to like 12:45.
Absolutely,
All
yeah.
these fouls are going to lengthen games, make broadcasts longer. It makes it more difficult to watch for me as a fan, just outside of college basketball, just getting into it. It's hard to watch a game with so many whistles.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. You know?
Yeah.
You just wish they would let the players play, but
Yeah. Well, you have the NFL, like more offensive rules where we all say jokingly that you can't touch the receivers.
receiver?
We literally have a situation where you're not allowed to touch players here.
yeah, and that may be an extreme way to look at the rule, but that at least how it seems from the outside looking in.
For sure. My third and last down, less serious down here. What the heck are the New York Jets doing with Ed Reed? He's 35 years old. He missed the first 2 games playing for the Texans after he had off-season hip surgery, relegated to a backup role, 16 tackles, no picks on the season. Further, when he left the Texans, he blamed it on the coaching and said it wasn't a good fit. Rex Ryan, head coach of the New York Jets, and defensive coordinator Dennis Thurman are trying to squeeze something out of nothing from the former superstar they coached for 8 years in Baltimore. Don't expect for anything good to happen there.
Yeah, Ed Reed, you got to wonder what's going on with him. It seemed in the offseason like it would be a good move for him to move from. I mean, you wish he would have stayed in Baltimore,
Yeah.
but he moved to Texas.
Or
you
just
thought,
retired.
or
as,
just
as
retired.
His associate Ray
yeah.
Lewis did for that Baltimore
So,
defense.
you know,
So
I don't
good
know.
for a decade.
I don't know. He's usually a locker room leader. Great,
Yeah.
Great guy for the younger guys in the locker room. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm never rooting against players, but I just don't see this working out for the Jets.
Yeah, me neither. Jameis Winston is currently being investigated by Florida State Police for sexual battery that may have occurred last year. He's the phenom freshman. He sat out last year with a red shirt, but he is the freshman quarterback of Florida State University, who is now number 2 in the country and looking like they're going to be playing Alabama in the national championship. Jameis Winston, he's a great on-field talent. He electrifies. It's fun watching him play. He reminds me a lot of Johnny Manziel, that sort of Robert Griffin type of quarterback. And to see these allegations, you hate to see a kid like that troubled with such talent,
Absolutely. And in a college football world where there's already so many problems with covering up issues, especially sexual issues like this, at least we're seeing like strong media reporting of this now, because especially at Miami and other of these Florida teams,
Yeah.
like Urban Meyer's Florida Gators, there's a lot of cover-ups of stuff like this. If you're going to play for my program, we'll make all the bad things go away. You can get away with whatever you want. In another chapter of this issue, we're hoping this book closes. Let's stay with football. Let's go professional here. This past week, some exciting games in the National Football League. I want to start with the Philadelphia-Green Bay game. Eagles win 27-13 over the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers' Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone a couple weeks ago. Looks like he's going to be out another 3 or 4 more weeks. Seneca Wallace replaced Rodgers in that game 2 weeks ago. They had no emergency quarterback for that game, so Wallace had to finish. Luckily enough, he did. They go out and they sign undrafted free agent Scott Tolzien from Wisconsin to be the backup in the event that Seneca Wallace should go down. First series of the game, he goes down with a groin injury. Scott Tolzien from Wisconsin, like I said, finished the game 24 for 39, 280, a score and 2 picks, so not all that bad. They worked out Matt Flynn on Monday, signed him. It looks like Matt Flynn's going to be starting, but horrible quarterback luck for Green Bay.
Oh, absolutely. And funny to see Matt Flynn come back to Green Bay.
That's right.
Because he started a couple years ago.
That's right.
Set
He was
the record for most passing
Yeah, and
yards.
that's always what we hear is all these wire reports always say Matt Flynn, who leads the Packers in most yards in a game ever, most touchdowns in a game ever. That was one game that he played. A heck of a game, all what it
of a
was.
game,
But
yeah.
to say that is kind of inflating his numbers.
Yeah. But good for that Tolnesian guy.
He didn't look terrible.
No.
He's certainly playing himself for another backup role
Yeah,
somewhere.
you kind of wish that he would get the start. But, I mean, Matt Flynn, I guess, has a little bit more rep
Even though he
with
can't
the
hold down a
Packers
job
organization.
anyway. Matt Flynn went to Seattle, and then after signing a huge deal there, Russell Wilson outplays him in camp, takes the job. So Matt Flynn goes to Oakland on another massive deal. They paid a fortune to get him from Seattle, and then now you have Terrell Pryor in Oakland, so he can't hold a job anywhere.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll stick in
we'll see what,
Green Bay.
Well, not for long. With
Not for long
Rodgers
until
coming
Rodgers comes back.
How about that Panthers-San Francisco game? It was kind of boring, and only one touchdown scored in the entire game, but it was a real defensive holdout. Cam Newton, the Panthers were able to, score late in the game. It was a D'Angelo Williams run. Pretty nice looking run at that.
For sure.
And that marks win number 5 in a row for the Panthers, as they are led by a stout defense, which is second in points allowed only to the much talked about, especially on this show, Kansas City Chiefs defense. They're also allowing about 1.03 points a drive, which is pretty good. They're first in interceptions and first in passing touchdowns allowed. This Panthers defense is reminiscent of the one that took them to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they're going to square off with those old Patriots this Monday night. Maybe
Foxborough
the best
boys
Monday night football game we've seen in the past 2 weeks. Absolutely, this year. Maybe.
Yeah, not saying a whole lot because the Monday night schedule this year has been atrocious.
It's
and
been rough.
I'm still not a believer in these Panthers, but it says something when your team can fly across the country, visit the defending NFC champions, and hold them out of their own end zones at their own field.
Yeah,
that was impressive.
It was, and they got problems on offense that they got to solve before you can start talking about making it back to another Super Bowl. But
for sure,
they're looking pretty good, especially in an NFC that's weird in the middle and heavy at the top. So
let's stick with another great defense in that NFC South. The New Orleans Saints beat the heck out of the Dallas Cowboys on the Sunday night game on NBC. New Orleans had 40 first downs. That's an NFL record. That Dallas defense is atrocious. More importantly, New Orleans defense is great. Rob Ryan has them the 5th-rated defense in the league. Rob Ryan, Rex Ryan's brother, fired from the Dallas Cowboys last season by owner and GM Jerry Jones, who still has Jason Garrett coaching that team. On Sunday night, Rob Ryan made a fool of his own team, making it look like he should have been promoted to that Jason Garrett job.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great defense in New Orleans.
What happened? A turnaround a year can make, right? Last year, they were one of the lowest-ranked defenses. They had all that turmoil in the offseason, and here they are now with 5th-ranked defense.
The most yards ever given up in one season was by last year's New Orleans defense.
Wow.
Enter Rob Ryan, 5th in the NFL in scoring defense.
Those Ryan brothers know what to do with defense.
On defense, for sure.
On defense.
Coaching ahead team, maybe we don't know yet, but
we'll see.
Yeah.
So let's look ahead to a couple of games this week. We've already mentioned the Panthers versus the Patriots on Monday night, but let's talk about this Denver-Kansas City game.
We've been talking about it for a few weeks on this program. You've mentioned that we do like to talk about the Chiefs on this program, but these are the 2 best teams in football, and not always do you get a treat having the 2 best teams being in the same conference, let alone division.
Oh, yeah. So they'll play each other twice. This is the first of 2 meetings. Is Denver at home? I think it's...
Denver's at home.
Denver's at home, yeah. Denver's at home. Peyton Manning going up against the best defense in the league. Hopefully he can avoid that rush.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's banged up himself, and if that rush gets to him, then that could be bad. He had an ankle injury last week. He had an MRI on Monday, showed no new damage. Slight aggravation of that right ankle. He said he definitely is going to play. He missed practice yesterday, missed practice on Tuesday, but he definitely will play Sunday night against that Chiefs defense.
Yeah, and another game of the week that we're looking forward to is the San Francisco-New Orleans game. San Francisco is a team that's, I think, second behind the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC West. New Orleans is the first team in the NFC South. This game has a lot of playoff implications. It looks, as of right now, that both these 2 teams are going to be making it into the playoffs. So this could be first round bye, wild card status sort of deciding.
It looks like Seattle's going to take that division.
Yeah.
And after losing to the Panthers last week, San Fran has a lot to prove. In order to take that last wild card spot, because Dallas is right on their tail, there are a few 5 and 4 teams in the NFC that could take it from them if they fall again. More games to watch for outside of the NFL. The Thunder and the Warriors tonight at 10:30. Some great basketball players in that. Those Golden State Warriors look like they're going to win the West. The Colorado Avalanche at the St. Louis Blues tonight at 8 p.m. And this Saturday, Oklahoma State, 12th ranked, at at Texas, 24th ranked, and that's Saturday at 3:30.
Yeah, some good games coming up. Back to that Thunder Golden State game.
Jump into the basketball.
Yeah. Let's jump into the NBA. Golden State is led by their Splash Brothers, if you will. It's Stephen Curry and Kellen Thompson. And it's a funny little name.
I like it.
Actually, I was watching ESPN the other day, and they were showing highlights, and every time one of their threes hit in the net, they had a little splash animation. So
I've seen worse animations on this show.
Fellas at ESPN, spending their time wisely. Anyways, they're playing great. Andre Iguodala has found his shot again. He was really good with the 3-point his last year in Philadelphia. Last year with Denver, not so well. This year, shooting really well. He has been titled the third Splash Brother. And then for the Thunder, Westbrook's back. He's played a couple games. He's looking good. No signs of the injury. And Durant is league leading, 30 points a game. But what's most important in the NBA right now is those Pacers. Still undefeated, 8-0. Their defense #1 in the league. Roy Hibbert leading the league with 4.5 blocks. They are just a stout defense, looking tough, and they're going to cause a lot of trouble and might steal that first spot from the Heat.
Good.
And the West. Who knows what's going to happen there? There are teams from top to bottom, even 2 or 3 out of the top 8, who are all over 500, and it is tough. It is tougher in the West than it ever has been. And I guess. One more thing. The New York Knicks and Denver have a loose trade going on, but to send Kenneth Reed from the Denver Nuggets for Iman Shumpert to the Denver Nuggets from the New York Knicks, which would be the second trade these two teams have made in the last 5 years. But I don't think it's going to happen. There have been reports that Denver has denied the trade, which I think is in the best move for all parties involved. And I think this is a good time for us to go into they're not just human beings.
Sure.
They're pro athletes.
Sure. Obviously, that other Nuggets trade you're alluding to, the Carmelo Anthony deal,
from a few years ago.
Sent him from Denver to New York.
Yeah.
That's a breaking news. I hadn't heard that. Kenneth Reed's a great player there.
Yeah, the Manimal, as he's been called.
That's right. Well, if we're going to stick with basketball, he's not human, he's an athlete segment of the week. Austin Rivers, former Duke prospect of the New Orleans Pelicans, an alley-oop to #1 overall pick from 2012, Anthony Davis for the slam. An alley-oop to Davis, who's 6'9", but with a 7'5.5" wingspan. You watch this video, and Rivers just throws it up there to nobody, and then a pair of arms just comes out and puts it. And attached to those arms, reportedly, is that #1 overall pick, Anthony Davis.
Yeah, it was a wild looking play. I mean, that kid's all arms and unibrow.
I could make that alley-oop. That's how, you could put it anywhere. I could alley-oop it to that guy.
Geez, that guy can catch those balls. My segment is, for this week, is Xavier Henry, plays for the Lakers. He's been bouncing around the league for the past couple of years, and he's found a home here with the Lakers, who, without Kobe Bryant, have kind of been sputtering, but still look pretty good. And he's playing great. He has a lot to do with that. And he threw down a monster slam. I don't even know. We need new words to describe what he did to his former teammate, Jeff Withey. Jeff Withey made the mistake of trying to take a charge, which is what I like to call the Sean Bradley defense. And he just got dunked all over, and it gives me
we should send flowers and a card to his family.
Yeah. It was nasty.
Sticking with nasty, kind of changing the tone here. 2 big injuries to 2 of the greatest stars in sports this week. An elite scorer with a leg injury, Lionel Messi from FC Barcelona. 4-time player of the year, 6 to 8 weeks it looks like for him, a torn hamstring that he suffered on Sunday versus Real Betis. This guy spent all summer traveling, playing charity matches, a great nod to him, but he could have stayed at home and rested the hammy he sprayed earlier in the year. So we're going to miss Lionel Messi for the rest of the champion season, but it looks like he should be back for the World Cup for Argentina, which should be great. And another elite scorer in sports, Steven Stamkos of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Broken tibia versus Boston on Monday. It will require surgery. He's a 2-time Rocket Richard winner, scored 60 goals in 11-12. He led the league in goals with 14 and points in 23 at the time of his injury.
Yeah, wow, it's a shame. Messi, those 2 guys, they're not only icons in their sport, but
around the world. And that's how you tell how big a player is. That's how many holes his absence creates. Stamkos' injury affects his team, his league, his country.
Absolutely.
So it's a big
Absolutely. I guess will that do it for us
That
tonight?
should do it. If you are watching this show, you are either an editor, my mother, or a sports fan. And if any of those cases is true, listen to WUAG 103.1 FM Mondays at 5 p.m. for the Sports Cycle, a show featuring yours truly, so you can more hear these sports highlights and, more importantly, my beautiful radio face.
All right.
We're out till next week.
I think, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. I'm Sean Higgins.
I'm Mason Little.
And this has been Sports Guys.
And the Fern.